Baby, everything I do is a cry for help. Hi, hello, welcome back to another Dragula outfit ranking video. My name is Jara, and what the hell do I know? I'm just a in a cat hair covered tank top. We're gonna be talking about the cyber monsters of rock outfits. As I mentioned before, alternative drag is always something that is so hyper criticized that I don't want to be extremely critical, but I want to explain why things landed where they did. So I will definitely get into the nitty gritty of those, but it's not with the intention of criticizing it, just merely explaining why something was higher than something else. The challenge is cyberpunk monster, and I feel like what happened with a lot of these looks is some of them latched on to that abbreviation of cyber. Some of them really latched on to punk. I don't know if I saw a lot of monster per se, but there were a lot of really cool and interesting looks. Today's beverage is a twisted tea, lemon flavored with a little bit of sweet tea mixed in. Let's get into it. In the number 13 spot, we have Jade Jolie. I really think that Jade latched on to the monster part of this. To me, it's giving Resident Evil. There's something that's a little like Little Shop about it, but something is oddly Abora as well about it. I think it has a lot to do with the hairstyle and the choice of those pigtails. I think the colors are a little discordant, if I have to be honest. I think the purple boots are really fun, but maybe not with all the rest of the paint splatter, because I'm assuming that this is meant to be like a paintballing look, and to me, paintball doesn't really read cyberpunk. I think a lot of what the outfit is reminds me of the theme, but I think the small details about it kind of pull me out of whatever the story is. Like, I could get into it if it was paintball, but then the toothface is a little strange, the horns. There's just a lot of discordant pieces that I'm left questioning, and that's why it's low. In the number 12 spot is a La Zavaleta. I only put Zava low because I don't really get any of the categories, but to me this is maybe less offensive than Jade's is as far as not really sticking to the brief. I don't get monster, I don't get cyberpunk, I don't get rock. Actually, no, that's a lie. I get a little tiny bit of rock, and that has to do with the shoes. And that paint that's going up to the calf, that's actually really hot. I like the leather jacket. I think that is a really cool stylistic choice. It looks like there's an extra arm on it. I think the colors are cohesive, which to me was a problem that I had with Jade's, is I just didn't feel like the color story made sense. And I'm interested in all the parts. It definitely is reading like a desert, Thunderdome, Battle Dome concert. But to me, I would get more of like a sci-fi pop concert than I think I would rock. And I don't have any questions about what this person is, where I had questions about Jade. In number 11 is Blackberry. We're starting to get into the looks where I'm like, okay, I understand this and I get where you're going, why you did this. At this point, it's now, who did I like more than others? Trying to be nice. This outfit reads performance completely down. I think a lot of the pieces of it remind me of like desert art installations. I think this sort of reads apocalypse to me in a lot of different ways, which I think does kind of meet the brief on some end. I love the color story of the neons. That Power Ranger glove is a little confusing to me, I won't lie, but otherwise I think it's fine. That's why it's at 11. In the number 10 spot is Priscilla. I really like the headpiece, and that's honestly my favorite part of it. I think the jacket is reading like Elvira Does Rock concert, and I think I got Elvira from her entrance look as well. I really like the adhesion to these greens and the different color saturations of green. I think that ball and chain is fucking cool. To me, this is reading cyber rock, less so than monster. I don't really get monster from this look, but it's kind of sick. In the number 9 spot, extremely censored for YouTube, is Sigourney Beaver. To me, para mí, this is just rock. It honestly probably could have been lower, but I think it is very rock and roll to go out with very little clothes. Even if there's not a lot of story here, I don't get cyber, I don't get punk, I don't get monster, but I get rock down. It is very performance. I want to own those boots. I love boots. Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot to talk about. It's kind of Matrixy, yeah. In the number 8 spot, another censored one for YouTube, we have Eva Destruction. Okay, I'm definitely getting monster and I'm getting rock from this. I definitely see the cyber with the attention to the arms. I think the face mask and makeup is sickening. I love the play of the mohawk, using those big metallic spikes. I think these like metallic vines that are going through that entire rancid animal print jacket is so cool. It's taking a lot of disparaging elements and turning them cyberpunk, which I think is the essence of what that visual branding is, stuff that's very familiar to us in our modern day, but that's been brought to the next level by people who are living in an almost apocalyptic type of universe. I'm a big fan of the jock strap with all the spikes on it. I'm a big fan of the fetish wear. I think this would be a killer, I tell you at Folsom. Like, there would be people lining up to get railed. I think it's really just the same critique that I have with Sigourney's. There's just not a ton of clothing. No, that's not true. There's more clothing than Sigourney's, but it is still really barren. That's why it's here kind of in the middle, but I like it. In the number 7 spot is a Bora. To me, I definitely get the monster vibes of this. It looks like some bald gremlin got up on stilts to go terrorize people. And to me, that's very much a Bora's branding. Not necessarily bald, but just a gremlin doing things. The plushies on the shoulder are a little sick in the head, but I think that's what I like about it. I think the sheer commitment to the scale of this, I think, is what's most impressive. I love that there are bony fingers at the ends of these arms. It's giving to me the rollers in Return to Oz. Wheelers, that's what their name was. I think maybe if there was just a little more on the look, I think that would have kicked it higher for me, but the commitment to being on stilts, not only for a performance, but also for the main stage, that's impressive, man. In the number 6 spot is Loris. I really like this look, and a lot of people don't seem to. I think it gravitates more towards monster punk than I think it does cyber. I really like the plaids. Nothing says punk to me more than plaid. The purple Liberty spikes are wild, but bring me back to a time in my childhood where everyone was doing this. I love that long cyber arm, and I love that it's asymmetrical to this clean arm on the other side. To me, that is very cyberpunk. All the elements and details that are hanging off of the pants. I'm loving seeing all this metal work. There's a lot of safety pins in here. It looks like someone straight out of like 2002 took all of their sketches from their school notebook and turned it into a real life creature. The makeup is interesting too. I also am seeing a safety pin on the eye. That's what's drawn right here, and that's some great attention to detail right there. It's solid. In the number 5 spot is Dahlia. To me, I am getting very early 2000s skater references from a lot of this. What I'm reading is like a cyberpunk skater storyline, and I don't hate that. I actually think a lot of the armor pieces are really cool. I love the intricacies. I like the attention of that orange band that's going down in that cross shape. To me, that's reading a little Tron, like budget Tron. I like all the neon green, almost button effect that's going on the wrist piece. I love that there's this tiny little glasses effect, the multicolored contacts. I'm definitely getting cyberpunk rock, and the fingerless gloves you can never go wrong with. In the number 4 spot is Jaharia, giving us some familiar realness in this category. Every time there's ever a Monsters of Rock, there is always a paint or two that looks like Kiss. I don't hate that. We've just seen it so many times. This is really finessed though, even better than in season 6 when we last saw Jaharia in a type of challenge like this, which was still a musical, but everyone dressed like they were ready for rock. I love the guitar prop. That's one of my favorite pieces of this. I love all the viscera that's hanging off of it. It's just sick. The corset skirt combo is very rock and roll. I'm 100% getting the cyberpunk vibes. There's some interesting plays with illusion here, using this black glove sleeve moment and then putting things on top of it. It almost makes the arm disappear, and then you only see the cybernetic part. So it looks like she's almost got like a C-3PO arm, like just a really tiny metallic arm that's just got frayed pieces of metal on it, you know? I love the boots. I'm a sucker for a boot, and I think the size of them is perfect. If they had been too high, I think it would have been distracting. The fact that it's a calf height, I think, is smart. The hair choice is great. It all has attention to detail to it. In the number 3 spot is Cynthia Doll. Y'all, I fear I have to stan. This is such a badass look. Very Star Wars tea, but it's also kind of giving me Predator a little. I'm getting monster, I'm getting cyberpunk. There is rock down. This key weapon that she created is, for lack of better words, sick. It's twisted, it's frightening. It's something I want to keep looking at, and I want to scroll in and catch every single detail. I'm loving that I'm seeing every single part of the brief here, and I would look at this and know exactly what it was supposed to be just on first look. Like, I wouldn't have to think about this at all, where some of the others, I would maybe have to think about it a little bit, and it just looks well thought through. In the number 2 spot is my current bias in the season, JK. I'm a big fan of that mohawk. That's so badass. The mohawk on a helmet is very 2000s rock and roll cyber aesthetic. The Drag King chestplate was also an interesting stylistic choice, because Jay could have gone out with their body, but I think using a bodysuit like this actually helps push the story a little bit, because you can paint that and keep the paint on there. It's not gonna sweat off. You can make it look a little grungier, and you can really make sure that that matches everything perfectly. Those pants are so early 2000s. I'm seeing 100 punk bands in those pants. The jacket is great. I love that Jay stuck to orange and black. Anytime you give me a clean color storyline, I'm very locked in and present for. And then the makeup is rock star down. I would see this person on a logo for like a cyberpunk video game aesthetic billboard. Like you would see them above the city pitching like a nightclub or something. Go because you could see JK, the cyber monster drag performer. And then in the #1 spot, I think I'm laminating my stand card this season for Disasterina, because they are #1 for me this week. I'm getting every single reference. To me, this looks like a cyberpunk monster joined a band and is fully the lead guitarist of this crazy cybernetic rock group, and is out here to give us the coolest show we've ever seen in our lives. I love the hair. It is extremely early 2000s punk to me. I love the way that the makeup blends into this bodysuit. It's silver with pinstripes, which is psychotic. First off, like who thinks of doing that for their makeup? And then it works for this entire jumpsuit. I love these crystalline shapes that are sculpting the shoulders and the lapels. To me, that's very much giving cyber. And then the shoe covers were also an interesting choice. I really enjoy those. To me, Disasterina is hitting every single category and doing it flawlessly. And I would have no question looking at this what the challenge was supposed to be. So with all that in mind, that has been my ranking of episode 2's looks. Let me know what your order was in the comments below. I will see y'all on the flip for some more. And if y'all have the means to support, feel free to check out the Extravaganza Extra program, where you can watch some videos a day or two earlier than everyone else. It helps directly support me and support the channel and allow me to keep creating content for y'all. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all on the flip.